And I had Coach Jackson coming to me and be like, you got to be ready because this is not MVC no more. This is the Big East, you know. Also, like, the environment that I'm living in here, you can tell that it's like pro environment. How you get treated, you know, but also what you're expected to do out there.
This is the Pitino Show, hosted by Richard Pitino and Paul Fritschner, presented by Deer Park Roofing.
Welcome into another episode of the Pitino Show, presented by Deer Park Roofing. Paul Fritschner, alongside the head coach of the Xavier Musketeers, Richard Pitino. And today we continue on our player spotlight series as we continue to get to know this year's Xavier Musketeer roster. It is Gabe Pozzato here to my left. Gabe, it's great to have you on the show today, and welcome to Xavier.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we'll start here. Obviously, over the offseason, the news came out that you had torn your meniscus. You're working your way back to this. This show will likely come out before you have seen the court at Xavier, so I'll ask it to you this way. You come to Xavier, and what's been your first experience of Xavier in Cincinnati so far?
Oh, it's been amazing so far. You know, like, my main goal was to come in a winning program, and I knew that Coach Pitino was the perfect person, you know, to be coached by. And so far, it's been amazing, you know. The environment is really family-based, you know, and I'm loving it. Especially Cincinnati is, I would say, a bigger city than I was last year, so.
Yeah, you come to Xavier from Evansville. So Evansville to Cincinnati, definitely a bigger feel.
Yeah.
Coach, it felt like Gabe was a big target for you out of the portal and somebody that you and the coaching staff were very happy to land because of his athleticism, his playmaking, his shot making, all of that. How excited were you to get his commitment?
I mean, obviously we're very excited that he's here regardless of that he's hurt or not. His attitude's amazing on a daily basis for a guy who's sitting out. You know, nobody ever, like when somebody's sick or somebody gets hurt, like you never really feel their pain because you're not feeling that, but like it sucks to have to go through what he goes through and the, you know, just the monotony of rehab every day, but his attitude's been amazing. When we watched him on film, when he was in the portal, I was really excited. He plays a fun way. I think it fits kind of what we're trying to do. He could shoot it. He can get to the rim. He's a big guard. You know, we wanted to, you know, besides Roddy, like we wanted to be really, really big on the perimeter. And he could have played the 1, the 2, the 3, even really the 4, and some of the things that we do. It didn't matter. So it was a huge blow, obviously, for him personally because he worked so hard. But for our team, we looked at him like an impact guy right away. Injuries happen. It's not an excuse, but he'll be back sooner or later. You know, we want him to be 100% physically and mentally. But yes, I mean, ironically, it really came down to him and all for freshman of the year and in their league. They both didn't like each other. But a really, really fun player to watch.
And you needed an Italian on your team.
I told him, I said, you can't play for any other coach, you know, besides a Pitino because of the Italian roots. So it is cool to have somebody certainly that's Italian.
Hey, you are Italian, Gabe. You come over here to the United States to play basketball. What was your experience in the United States, if at all, before you came over here to play?
So before I came in here to play for Evansville last year, I had a couple experiences with the NBA Academy. We had a couple tournaments, one in Atlanta and one in Orlando. It was great. You know, I mean, coming from Italy, I was always told by my coaches that my style of play was not like European style. I've always been told that I had an American style of basketball playing. So I've always wanted to play in the States, you know, and since I was little, I used to watch the NBA, and I remember watching Kobe Bryant and all that. And, you know, watching all these videos of these guys in high school playing, like, we don't have any of that in Italy. We don't have high school teams. So I've always wanted to play in the States. And that experience that I had, starting from the NBA Academy, then walking towards Evansville, and now here with Xavier, it's been amazing.
Do you see that American style versus the European?
For sure. Like, Jovan and Philip have the European style. He does not. You know, you could tell that he learned the game probably from watching the NBA, you know, whether it's on YouTube or whatever. Way more, you know, no offense to Philip and Jovan, but athletic, you know, trying to dunk on you, where I don't think Phil or Jovan are trying to do that as much. But yes, you can absolutely tell it's way more of an American influence in his game than Philip and Jovan.
All right, Gabe, talk to me about your family. Tell me they're still in Italy, right?
Yeah,
I mean, your family is in Italy. How do they get to watch you? What's your connection to your family?
So my family's in Italy. My mom was actually born in Brazil. She's Brazilian, so that makes me half Brazilian too. In fact, I know how to speak Portuguese. And yeah, they've been supporting me since I started playing in Italy. Of course, they would always be like school first, and then sports and any other hobby. But like once they saw that basketball was going well for me, I started getting a couple offers and all of that, which basically started when I went to Australia when I got the offer. My mom actually, more than my dad. My dad is a really like sportive guy. He used to play volleyball professionally, and my mom started like understanding that it wasn't only like basketball starting to be an option for me, But of course, still to this day, she's like, first question she asked me as soon as I get on the phone is, "How's school going?" And then she asked me about basketball and everything else. But yeah, no, they're really excited. My dad, of course, he's like at home every day calling me. And he's like maybe twice or 3 times a day asking me how's the recovery going, and he's really like excited for the season to start and everything. But like for example, last year he didn't get to see me play. I was injured last year too, and he flew out in here in the States for the days that I was injured, so he didn't get to see me play. And I think that now he hasn't seen me play in person for it's been like 2 years, I would say.
Are we going to get him here this year?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. I like that. Now, I've asked Coach Pitino this question a lot, so I'm not going to feed this question to Coach Pitino now, but I am going to ask you, the Italian food scene here in Cincinnati. Have you been able to get to some of these restaurants around the city?
I have not tried anything yet. Any Italian restaurants so far.
Any of them?
Any of them.
You know what you have to realize? You're not as old as me. How old are you?
Me?
Yeah.
28.
So
Maybe 29 by the time this comes out.
I am 43.
Yeah.
As you get older, these are the things that you talk about. Restaurants.
It's
These
a good
guys,
point.
DoorDash, like you were never, when you were in college, going out to nice restaurants. Like that's all we care about. Like it's
Yeah,
like
it's true. It's a
So
good
like
point.
I always ask these
God,
guys
that
that
makes me
like
feel old.
when we were in New York, I'm like, oh, did you guys go to dinner? And it's like they go to like Chipotle. I'm like, what is going on? So yeah, you're not there yet, but you're getting old, Paul.
Well, anybody that's familiar with my work knows that I'm a sucker for McDonald's, though.
Yeah.
So I'm okay. I can play
Yeah.
both sides.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. But there is, if you do get to that point, Gabe, there is a lot of good Italian food in this city. Pep & Dolores is one. I've never been to Pep & Dolores,
Really?
but
Wow.
that's one that a lot of people always talk about. But if you want, there are options. And if
All
you want
right.
some noodles, Skyline's always there too.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest.
Uh-oh.
I stopped looking for good Italian restaurants from last year. I tried couple and it was not it.
Well,
But
where
like-
you were is not.
Yeah,
Probably
it wasn't
the mecca
a
of
nice
Italian
place to try,
restaurant.
of course, but they told me those were like the best places. I'm like, yeah, okay. Like so I'm sticking to the I mean, I
Cafeteria.
I'm sticking to the cafeteria.
That works. That works. Okay, so you go to Australia to play, and then you come over here to the United States, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about playing in Australia and what that experience was for you.
It was great. I mean, I would say isolated from the outside world. It was crazy, but like crazy good for me because we lived in this kind of like Olympic campus. It was called the AIS, and it would be literally in the middle of nowhere. So it would be in Canberra, which is the capital, but like it was in a site in a place that's like it was ridiculously like isolated. And it was great for us because, no distractions, just basketball and school every day. We would wake up, go to practice, get some shots in, get some free throws, get an individual with the coach, and then we went straight to breakfast or and then work and then schoolwork, and then we go straight back to practice. And then it would be recovery, study hall, bedtime. That would be my daily schedule. Weekends, weekdays, every day. And it was nice for us because, getting to play basketball every day, like that, if you're there, it's because you're trying to get somewhere, Like, you're not going to accept that offer if you just, trying to have fun.
Sounds like a coach's dream there. Have a player just do everything straight through.
Yeah, I mean, I think what people don't realize is they don't experience the American way. Like it's not normal to them to like wake up and go to school and then you have basketball practice at night or whatever. Like a lot of these guys, it's so much basketball. They're playing for like a club team or, you know, professionals or whatever. So, you know, credit to a lot of these guys to just be dropped into our country and to learn the language right away and to learn the customs. I mean, we've all traveled overseas and it's just different. And so that is the cool part about basketball, though, is, you know, he gets to see a million different places and, you know, it's only going to be better for him in the end.
Deer Park Roofing has been providing elite service for homes and businesses since 1996 and leads the industry in professionalism, quality, and responsiveness. So whether your needs are residential or commercial, Deer Park can handle any job and ensure it's done right. Deer Park's motto is protect what's important, and what's important to you is important to Deer Park Roofing. Visit deerparkroofing.com today. deerparkroofing.com.
A fifth third better means we give 166.7%.
Who's a good boy, Parson?
I am good boy.
That's right. And why?
Because I bank a fifth third better.
Wait, what?
5/3 equals 166.7%, so they put 166.7% into everything they do.
What is happening?
I'll tell you what's happening. Free checking, no hidden fees, and identity theft protection. Now, let's get rid of cat, please.
What?
This is banking a fifth third better.
So I know Gabe was here at Evansville last year, so this is obviously different. But from an international recruiting perspective, when you see players and maybe you only get to watch, maybe say you were recruiting him and you only got to see his film out of Australia or wherever how do you evaluate over film versus seeing them in person?
What's hard is I would know an American player when they're playing on the EYBL circuit in AAU that's a really good circuit. I would know if they're in a high school tournament, the other high school teams and the coaches and the quality of play. So if I know of, you know, somebody on our team did really, really well against Montverde or whatever, like that's a high level game. You have to know who they're going against because you see these YouTube clips and it looks like me guarding them, you know, and it's like, he's not very good or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, so you have to know the quality of the game and the competition. So if you can get a kid with a little bit of experience in the States, I think everybody would prefer that. There's also a eligibility academic component. Was he, you know, now there's no rules anymore, but was he a pro? Did he get paid? Like you're really trying to uncover a lot overseas. But all you got to do is watch the NBA right now. I mean, this thing is global, you know, and so gone are the days of limiting your pool of. Now you can recruit out of the G League. You can recruit in the NBA now. So all options are open. The good part is through the internet and all that, like you can get some good film on these guys, and then you can kind of dive into U19 or go overseas or whatever. But there's a lot of great players over there.
Gabe, what was your biggest adjustment coming over to play in America? Skill or, you know, actually on the court? Like, what was your biggest adjustment?
Probably just being able to do everything. You know, like I went from being in Italy, I was like a 3. I was like a forward because of my height. And then I went to Australia and they started playing me as a maybe 4 and sometimes as a 2. And then getting here, you got to learn, I feel like, how to play all around because that's what basketball is about nowadays. And being able to guard all around too, you know. So like, as I would always say that Australia was really good for me for the defense side of the game. They teach how to play real defense in there. It was crazy. Like the drills we would do were ridiculous. But yeah, it was probably being able to like handle the ball like a point guard, which I'm still working on, you know. And at the same time, being able to get in the post and use my body against bigger bodies.
Yeah, to Coach's point, the NBA has become, or basketball has become such a global sport, especially in the NBA. But when you're in Italy or just internationally in general, What do you know or what do you hear about college basketball? Because college athletics are so different here in the United States than they are, like you said to open the show, than they are anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
So what do you hear about college basketball?
Oh, it's for us. It's like, for example, for me, nearly, for example, from my experience, is like watching college was like watching the NBA. Like we see these players that like do things that NBA players do sometimes, and maybe you look them up as like they're pros already. You know, that was how I would see them. And like I wanted to be there at all costs. I was fiending to be in college, you know, and it was part of the process that for me was gonna, you know, take me where I want to be. But like I would say that that's pretty much what everyone thinks in Italy. Like college it was now it's getting to a point where it's like I would say it's almost already like a lower level pro level, you know.
Yeah. How was Gabe before his injury in the offseason? How was his adjustment to Xavier before he got hurt?
Yeah, he was doing great. Yeah, I mean, he was an impact guy for us. You know, and he will be. You know, it's just going to take a little bit longer. But you know, he was what we thought he would be. You know, he was athletic, could play a multitude of positions. You know, we believed in him, and we got him right. It's just gonna take a little more time to get him on the court, but he'll be an impact guy. It may take a little time coming back from an injury, but he'll be a huge part of what we're doing moving forward.
I know you dealt with a little bit of a back injury last year at Evansville, but have you ever dealt with an injury like a meniscus tear before?
No, never.
So
Never.
what's the adjustment had to been like for you now to see everybody else out there, but you can't be doing it? I know that must be tough.
Yeah, no, I talk about it with all the coaches all the time, and you know, the strength coach is like, he's being on me about like, now the things that can hurt me the most is myself, because you know, being impatient and getting on the court, or like when no one is around, I go shoot the ball, get some shots up, maybe like feel like, hey, maybe I could dunk right now. Well, that mentality can't be there. Like that's gonna be my downfall. But
You're gonna give him a heart attack.
Yeah, I know.
yeah, no, but I know better. Like as I said, of course, I haven't dealt with many injuries like this in the past, but that was also because I was really like responsible about my body. Like I know that this is my machine and I gotta take care of it, you know. So I would like always be on the gym early to stretch, after the game to stretch, you know, take care of it.
What attracted you to playing for Richard Pitino and his style when you were coming out of the portal?
So it was, I mean, out of like all the coaches I talked to, it was like what sticked out the most was probably the fact that he was transparent with me from the beginning. You know, yes, I like to hear this and that about the team, about the mentality and everything, but coach was like, he was straightforward with me. He was like, hey, if you come here, we need you to do this, this, and this, and you're gonna get this, this, and this. Like, he was straightforward with me, and that's what I like the most. You know, I like transparency. That kind of relationship that I build with my coach was really important for me.
You were at Evansville last year. All was at Valpo, and you were right there for Freshman of the Year. Did you guys know each other? You obviously competed against each other.
No, it's actually crazy because we never talked. It was like I would say it was a silent beef. We would get on the court. We wouldn't talk much. We would just get to work, and then what happened.
And now you get to see them on the court at the same
Well,
time.
we had talked about it through the recruiting process because all committed before Gabe did. And I remember we were out to dinner downtown, and he was kind of talking about it, like, oh, we have this little, like, not a real beef, but like they were competing against each other for that Freshman of the Year award. And part of what hurt him was he didn't play because of the back issues. So it was close, but I bet if he was healthy, it'd have been even closer. They're similar on the court in the sense of they have this, all probably a little bit more than Gabe, but like this moxie to them where they're, you know, I could see all like going on the road and screaming at the fans and stuff. I've had some of those guys too. I don't know if he would do that, but they're both very, very passionate and confident. And that was probably really cool to see in their league.
When you were here over the summer, before you got hurt, what were some of the biggest things that stood out to you, you know, on the court about being here? I
mean, it was the work ethic, you know, like I would get here with coach. This was before I got here. I got here before everyone else. I remember this. And I was like going to the gym every day with Coach Jackson and the managers. And I was like out there getting shots up, you know. And I had Coach Jackson coming to me and be like, when I was shooting free throws, be like, man, you got to be ready because this is not MVC no more. This is the Big East, you know. So it was the work ethic, I would say, and also like the environment that I'm living in here. You can tell that it's like pro environment. You can tell by how you get treated, but also what you're expected to do out there. So that's probably
And that's what you're trying to curate here.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to hear. I mean, you don't want to turn it into the pros because it's the best time of their lives. Everybody looks back and talks about their college experience as the most amazing time of their life, and they all wish they enjoyed it more, right? But they are pros now. And so it's our job to do our very, very best to provide the best resources for them because although they're making money now, we want them to make money for a long, long time. And in order to do that, you got to invest in them nutritionally, strength and conditioning, athletic training, medicine, the academic support that they get. And that's the beauty of Xavier is we are a small, tight-knit community, but we can provide those things for them a little bit easier because we don't have as many student athletes maybe as some of these other major universities.
Deer Park Roofing has been providing elite service for homes and businesses since 1996 and leads the industry in professionalism, quality, and responsiveness. So whether your needs are residential or commercial, Deer Park can handle any job and ensure it's done right. Deer Park's motto is protect what's important, and what's important to you is important to Deer Park Roofing. Visit deerparkroofing.com today. deerparkroofing.com.
A Fifth Third Better means we give 166.7%.
Who's a good boy, Parson?
I am good boy.
That's right. And why?
Because I bank a fifth third better.
Wait, what?
5/3 equals 166.7%, so they put 166.7% into everything they do.
What is happening?
I'll tell you what's happening. Free checking, no hidden fees, and identity theft protection. Now, let's get rid of cat, please.
What?
This is banking a Fifth Third Better.
The journey to move medicine forward takes an unwavering commitment to solving complex patient care. Innovative thinkers driven to change lives. A therapeutically focused contract research organization. A diverse team committed to comprehensive patient care. All leading to successful drug approval. Join the CTI team on our journey to move medicine forward.
What is your message to these guys about playing in the Big East? Because obviously you've been a coach in this league before. You're very familiar with it. What is your message about the jump from, he mentions the MVC, but a lot of these guys are transferring up. What are you telling them?
It's a toughness league. I think a lot of the places you go pride themselves in toughness. UConn, St. John's, Villanova, Marquette, Providence. It's rugged, it's toughness. Hopefully Xavier's that way. You had a lot of former players that played here like junkyard dogs. Kind of city environments, not necessarily football schools, obviously. So they need to understand that, we all want to win, but Xavier needs us to win. Like we want to impact this school in a positive way. So don't take signing up for this lightly. It all culminates at the end of your year in the greatest stage of them all, Madison Square Garden, and everything that you do, you want to put yourself in a position to get a bye in that building, to go win in that building. And it's bright lights. I mean, every game's going to be on national TV. Teams are trying to win national championships. You had Villanova and UConn. I mean, they've won national championships the last however many years. So it's the biggest stage. Everybody, I would hope, dreams of going to the NBA. You don't talk about it as much anymore because now some of these guys are making more money playing. This is the best deal these guys are ever going to have. But you want them to know if they're an all-conference player, if they win, the next step for them is NBA.
Yeah. Gabe, what did you know about Xavier or the Big East or anything before you came here?
So I knew a lot about like I wouldn't say I knew a lot about college, but like out of the average, Italian basketball players, I would say that I was overly like looking at the American style and at the American, game. So I would say that I would look at some, college basketball, not as much, but yeah, no, I knew that this was like a great level basketball. I would watch sometimes, like I know that there's a lot of NBA players actually that played in here, and I actually like, which is funny. I talked to this about my best friend. We play NBA 2K a lot, and I use many of the players that played here, Xavier, on the game too. So it's funny. I was like, wait, I used this guy on 2K last year. Like I would be like, when I got in this bill, I look at the jersey, hanging there. No, but jokes apart, like, yeah, I knew quite a bit about the Big East and Xavier.
That's brand building right there. We like to hear that. All right, so you have a couple of tattoos. You have a sweater on right now, so I'm not going to ask you to take the sweater off. We can throw a graphic in over the top. Any story behind them?
Spice up the podcast a little bit.
Yeah, we ain't doing that at whatever this is, 10:30 in the morning.
No, but yeah, no, all my tattoos have meaning.
Yeah.
I have some of them people would laugh at and say they don't, but they deep down they do. My first tattoo was a phrase I have in here, Romans 8:18. The pain you'll be feeling cannot be compared to the joy that's coming. Which is, I relate a lot to it because when I was in Italy, as I said, like, I had to go to practice, which was an hour away from my house, and practice would start 30 minutes after class. So I would be late to practice, and then they would want me to practice with the older guys, so I would have to stay at practice until who knows when, like 8 p.m., and then I would have to go back home. So that makes it 9 p.m. I got to have dinner. I got to study. I would end up going to bed like around 2 a.m. every day, and that was my weekly schedule. And so, I made a lot of sacrifices, I would say. And that was actually my first tattoo. And my mom agreed with me. My mom is a person that don't really like all this stuff. She don't like the earrings. She don't like the tattoos. She said, keep it clean. And I agree with her, but like this was really meaningful for me. So
As you're wearing earrings.
Exactly.
Earrings with all the tattoos.
Yeah. Covered in tattoos and earrings. And you agree with your mom.
No, but yeah. And then I have a couple more. I have a now text. It says now in a basketball style, which means, for me, not think about the past or the future, live in the present and, live the moment. And then my most recent one is a wing on my left side of the chest, which my mom always called me in the Bible, the angel, Gabriel.
Yeah. She
always told me that I was a little angel or whatever. And I really love the style of this wing on my chest. And if I have to be honest, I've been called high flyer a lot of times. Like I like to jump and dunk a lot, so that was,
I think that's well deserved. I think that's well deserved. All right, last question that I have here for you is tell the people about your hometown in Italy. Tell them something that maybe they don't know. Where you're from. Tell them where you're from, and tell them something that maybe they don't know about where you're from.
So I'm from Novara, which is a pretty small town close to Milan. It's 30 minutes away. And something that they wouldn't know is probably that they have the best cheese ever. They have Gorgonzola. That's where I'm from. Gorgonzola is where I'm from. And, of course, it's known that Italy is, beautiful for, buildings and everything. And you can find historical buildings, even from little towns like the one I'm from. We have this beautiful, tall building that's called the Cupola of San Gaudenzio. It's a tall building. It's beautiful. You can actually visit it. And if I have to be honest, I was thinking about getting a tattoo about that too, to represent my hometown.
Just add it to the list.
Yeah. But that's for the future.
All right. Well, Coach, you have anything for Gabe here before we?
One of the things I always ask a lot of these kind of European players and stuff is when you're done playing basketball, hopefully in the NBA, after a great career at Xavier, where do you want to live? Brazil. Wow.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, I've visited Brazil since I was little because I have grandparents in there, and I would say it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been.
Nice.
All right.
Very nice.
Never been. I've never been to Italy either.
You should go.
I've been to 46 states. I've been to Canada. I've been to 7 provinces in Canada, but I've never been to Europe.
Italy's amazing.
Would love to get
They're
there.
all Europe is awesome, but the one thing about Italy that beats everywhere else is the food is so good. Because you can get some of these other countries, like I've been to Paris a million times. I think the food in Paris stinks. I don't think the food in London's all that good. Like you get warm beer and stuff. But Italy,
tea and scones, who needs that?
The food in Italy is so good, and they would probably laugh at the Italian food we have here and claim that it's any good. So,
all right, Gabe. Well, best of luck to you. I know a lot of Xavier fans are watching this. Excited to watch you play as you recover from your injury here. So, best of luck to you in your recovery from this, and looking forward to seeing you out there on the court at some point this season.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
That is Gabe Pozzato here on the Pitino Show. For head coach Richard Pitino, I'm Paul Fritschner signing off. Thanks to everybody for watching as we continue here on the player preview, player spotlight series on the Pitino Show. This has been another presentation of the Pitino Show presented by Deer Park Roofing. Make sure you subscribe on all the platforms if you haven't already. Talk to you next week, everybody.